Earthbound is without a doubt one of the most influential games of all time. It's inspired so many people to make games of their own, and you can see the Earthbound influence within some of them. What originally was a hidden gem hidden beneath bad marketing and forcing you to buy the player's guide is now seen as a cult classic. People were introduced to it by other people on the internet, as well as Ness's inclusion in Super Smash Bros. But for a very long time, people were unaware that Earthbound was actually standing on a stepping stone. So on some random day that's only significant because of this event, a ROM was uploaded online. A ROM for an old Earthbound game. This is the original Mother. It was never released in America because it was translated just as the Super Nintendo was coming out. The game was old by then and Nintendo wanted to focus on the SNES. Because of this, it wasn't available to Americans for a very long time until, of course, the ROM was uploaded for an English patch of the game. Now, it only took 25 years for Nintendo themselves to realize that they needed to officially localize this game. This is the original English patch for the game, released on the Wii U eShop in 2015 under the title Earthbound Beginnings. They gave us this over Mother 3. At this point, it's more likely that we'll get a Sam & Max Season 4 before we get Mother 3. We'll look at the Mother 3 localization crap 2 years from now whenever I become an adult who's unsatisfied with this video and in a spiraling depression. Nintendo's just bad at localizing stuff, I'll have to say it now. And even then, this is the bare bones original patch of the game, the English one that was never released. That doesn't sound bad on paper, but this was the NES days of RPGs. I'm not going to hide my criticisms for later in this video since you're probably already aware of what I'm going to say. You see, this game has terrible balancing and bad direction just like many other RPGs from this era. So just like my first playthrough of this game, I am going to temporarily be playing on the Wii U release. Keep in mind I said temporarily. Here we are at Earthbound Beginnings, or Earthbound, or Mother, whatever you want to call it. Get the option to name all the characters, you type in their name, you type in dicks, shit, or babies as your favorite food. You get everything else set up, and then you're presented with this prologue here that I'll have to show unrelated footage because I can't find anything to show for this. One day in the early 1900s, a couple known as George and Maria get abducted by aliens. And then George returns, but Maria is never seen ever again. Then we cut to this random kid in a chair. Well, that was unrelated. He probably should have stayed in there though, cause today is lamp genocide. After stopping the uprising of household appliances, as well as beating up your sister's doll, you retrieve a melody from the music box in the doll, and you go downstairs to talk to your dad, and it was only a poltergeist. Don't worry, son, it wasn't lamps attacking you. It was just a ghost. I don't feel so good. Which can only mean one thing. You have to go on an adventure. Well, something that you gotta love about this game is how the story and the gameplay are linked. As in the story, you're given no direction where to go. What your only direction is just go. So in the gameplay, you have no direction either. It's really beautiful. Okay, but in all seriousness, this isn't an issue right now, minus the fact that you don't know why there were zombies in the town, you don't know why there were lamps attacking you, and you don't know what the importance of these songs are. And that last thing is very hard-hitting since these are required to beat the game. I accidentally missed the second one. How did I miss it? Well, simple. The only direction I was given is this really long walkway down to town. Then I was given the impression that I should take care of these zombies in the cemetery south of town. And then all of a sudden, I'm given a key to go to the zoo. But this area where you get this next song is over to the left. This random Final Fantasy chicken sings the song to you, but you gotta get the baby chicken back to get her to sing the song. Where you get the baby chicken? Well, simple. You get the baby chicken back in the main town at this random shop, and it's being sold for like 70 bucks. This whole segment right here at the beginning of the game sets up a huge issue I have with the game in general. Yo fam, what up? Now you may be asking yourself the cold hard question, Luggo! Why did you throw the story right out the window? Because I don't care about the story and neither does the game. Like I said, you're just told go and you go. The only thing you need to know is that there's random things going on and you need to go stop that. And besides, the gameplay is the most juicy part about this game because it's a video game after all. But also it's interesting because this game is horribly unbalanced. You know what, this game's gonna be pretty fun whenever the first few enemies are giving you trouble. Yes, at the very beginning, you're forced to grind. And here's the thing, I like grinding if I'm the one who's choosing to grind. The only time I don't enjoy grinding is whenever I'm forced to grind. So you can imagine how enjoyable it is getting stopped the second after you step out of the first area. And with, like I said, the horrible direction and also the fact that this has random encounters, you're going to be running into a lot of enemies. On my first playthrough, I stopped playing the game after I got past the zoo just because of how much crap that area puts you through. Attacking you with hyenas and extremely strong elephants. Oh yeah, did I also mention that after you beat the boss there, you get this random melody from the monkey? Wonder how many people missed that one. And another contributing factor to the annoying beginning is the character you're playing as, Ninten, the great-grandson of George and Maria. Now whenever it said George returned in the prologue, it also mentioned how he was conducting a strange study. This study was on psychic abilities. And what you know, Ninten knows psychic abilities. You can use these PSI powers in battle, and Nintendo knows quite a few. Why do I take issue with this, though? Well, PSI is like your standard magic in video games, just with a fancier name. You know how there's different types of magic, though? Such as healing, or doing damage? Ninten is what would be considered a white mage. For those of you not familiar with RPG terminology, a white mage is a mage that uses healing abilities. Now to his credit, unlike most white mages, Ninten can do a lot of damage, but that's only with his regular bash attack, which involves using a weapon. His PSI, well, it's his status afflictions as well as healing, and even then, the status afflictions aren't very helpful. He learned so many different abilities, yet I only ended up using like 4 or 5 of them. But the most aggravating thing about this is that Ninten is the only party member that you'll have for the first third of the game. Your only method of doing damage is through the bash command. And did I mention that this game's really freaking difficult? I can't handle all of this stuff being thrown my way. I don't have enough inventory space to hold all my items that I want, and screw it. I'm gonna be honest with you. In both my first and second playthrough, I had to stop at the zoo because I just could not tolerate grinding anymore. Because people on the internet are like me, lazy, inexperienced, and impatient, we've made several hacks of Earthbound Beginning. Some of these modifications are made for the sake of making the game easier. The version I decided to go for the rest of my playthrough is on Mother 1+2, a compilation title for the Game Boy Advance. This version adds in a new equipable item at the beginning of the game. I think it doubles or triples EXP and probably gives you a good amount of defense since I don't think I found any other item that surpassed it. I'm going to judge this version separately since it's a modification after all. But if you do plan on playing Earthbound Beginnings and you get tired of all the grinding, I suggest you check this out. So now hopefully we can continue on with the game much quicker since there won't be very many stops to grind. A natural instinct of the player after completing the zoo is to go to this previously blocked area. Here, you'll find one of these mini caves. Upon using your very situational telepathy powers, you'll find yourself in Magicant. It's here in Magicant where you can get some important items and even store and retrieve items without having to go all the way back home. There are even very important equipable items. But who wants all that junk whenever you got the EXP ring? You also find a castle where Queen Mary lives. Queen Mary has forgotten her one musical piece, so that's why you're collecting the melodies, to help her remember it. So now you have a goal, to go to any mysterious spot on the world, find an object that stands out, such as, you know, the chicken or the monkey, and then get the melody from it. Oh, have fun getting out of Magicant though. I'll let that finish up in the corner, but we're 10 minutes in and we've barely scratched the surface on both the positives and negatives about this game. Now that we have that handy dandy EXP ring, that's a massive weight lifted off our shoulders. But it didn't take long for that to be replaced by another massive weight. Ladies and gentlemen, meet my new partner, Lloyd. Holy crap, I don't think I've ever seen a more sucky character in an RPG. Lloyd is an outcast at the school he goes to, and there's a clear reason for that. He's a wimp, and he sucks. When you get him, he starts at level 1 when you may be at like level 13 or higher by this point. So no matter what version you're playing, you have to grind, or else Lloyd's going to get killed. Even at a good enough level like level 10, he does next to no damage. And guess what? The cherry on top of all this is the second you get him, the next place you have to go to is this big, huge, freaking factory. Now, one thing that could be seen as a saving grace for Lloyd is his machines. I don't see them as that though, because you can't get very many early on, and the bottle rockets just do average damage. There was one instance in my playthrough where one of his machines came into great use, but that doesn't make up for how weak he is. The only thing he's good at doing is holding more items for you. So we've got one party member who's a white mage who can only do damage through the bash attack, and another party member who's just weak and pathetic. Hence why I named him after my friend Troops. Now after launching the rocket in the factory, you blow up this rock that's blocking the train station. From this train station, you can travel across many different parts of the map. But probably the most important thing to do here is to stop by one of the other train stations and grab this hat and return it to this girl in Winters. Winters is a nice place and all, but there's really not much to do in it besides get your next party member, Anna. Her proof that you're the person that she's supposed to be going with is the fact that you found her hat. Okay then. Let's just say that she's very lucky that Nintendo found it, if you know what I'm implying. So thankfully, we got ourselves another party member who's also level 1. So as you painfully grind EXP to get Anna leveled up, she starts learning offensive PSI moves. And as for these, they're kind of all over the place. The early moves that she learns are really useless since she's at a very low level. And by the time you even get her leveled up, she starts learning much better PSI abilities. So PK Thunder is automatically outclassed by PK Beam and PK Freeze. Her PSI abilities mostly just do damage and that's it, but there are a few exceptions that are very fun to use, such as PK Freeze Gamma, which can bring an enemy down to I think 1 health because the next hit that you do to them one-shots them, PK Beam Gamma, which can potentially one-shot an opponent, or PK Fire Omega, which is a screen nuke. So what she does lack in attack and defense, she makes up for in good PSI abilities. So I've been talking very negatively about this game so far, but I do want to talk about one big part that I really do like, about the last 2.5 hours of the game. After exiting the desert area where at one point you get to destroy a robot with a tank, you enter this town called Youngtown. Not only is it here that you finally get a convenient way of teleporting everywhere, but also you get to listen to this nice song and even have a good spot to grind.
Too bad the next area you go to is the swamp.
Please keep Troops safe. He is a weakling after all. Man, that's not very nice. Though it is true. There's also this part where you're at this club or whatever and you start dancing on the stage, and then this tough guy comes on out. He's a real Dumbo, I'll tell you that one. But then he decides to come with you after you fight him. The best part though is that he takes the place of Dumbo Troopo. And after all that, it's time to head over to Mount Itoy to get the last melodies. Well, I don't know how to feel about this area. On one hand, it's intense and stuff, but on the other hand, it's really difficult, even on this second playthrough, being at an absurd level. My opinions on the cave beforehand will always stay negative though. You're gonna be taking a lot of damage, but thankfully there's a rest house right here. Ooh, and it has a nice forced romance scene between Nintendo and Anna. At least it's well animated, but we've got more important things to attend to. Wait, what the heck? Well, is everybody okay? Oh, Fonzo's injured, and that means we have to take Troops back. No! Okay, round 2, now featuring troops. So this time around, we can have troops fix this speedboat right here and enter a secret underwater laboratory made by George, including one of his inventions. This is the Eve robot, and we've got ourselves a good replacement for Fonzo. A very good replacement. This thing does tons of damage. So now we've got something that makes the climb up much easier. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Well, I'm not dead on the outside, but I am on the inside. We do get our second to last medley from this, so now all we have to do is get to the top. And at the top, we find a grave. George's grave. With a final message from him, we get the last melody. After we go back to Queen Mary to play her the tune, it's revealed that this is the Mary that went missing, George's wife. And finally, it turns out Magic Ant was just a figment of her imagination brought to life. So it disappears along with her. Now let's go kill that freaking alien that's been causing all this crap. You can now arrive at the summit of Mount Atoy where Gygus descends. Huh, I never thought about it that way. The whole fight isn't anything too special. Basically, Gygus goes on a big monologue about how he was raised by George and Maria, and it's kinda cool and all. But the thing is, you can't actually do any damage to him. After a while though, this sing option comes up. Gygus has very sensitive memories, and listening to a lullaby that he used to hear all the time triggers those memories. You could interpret it that way, but I like thinking about it this way for the sake of funsies. And that, my friends, is how Kids Bop was born. That's the game, folks, and I honestly really wanted to like this game, but there were so many stops to grind, and it was just absolutely painful the whole way through. On my initial playthrough, I got up to level 25, which is the recommended level, I think, and even then, I could barely manage anything. But then there's the modification, which I played through for this review. As for what I think about that, it makes me more sad. That sounds really strange considering that I praised it earlier for removing grinding. However, this speaks to me saying that those initial 2 criticisms that I stated at the beginning of the video were what completely ruined the original game. Grinding and bad direction ruined the whole experience for me. And I know this because of my second playthrough being more fun. I got more experience from the easy ring, and I already knew where to go. Who knew that specifically terrible balancing could ruin a game like this? And I've seen a couple of videos as well as even the download site for this stating, just try to enjoy it, and I did enjoy this modification. But that's all it is and all it will ever be. An unofficial modification to make a hard game easier. But I guess on the other hand, this modification made me realize that there was a lot more merit to this game than I originally thought. My opinion on everything was soured due to the grinding, but now that that's not there, I can appreciate what was well designed. And that's something worth coming back to this game. The mod, at least. I guess that concludes this year's Mother video, talking about a game that was ruined by one fatal flaw. Well, this has been your Lloyd Buggle, and I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching.